Overclockers, my name's Briony and welcome to the latest episode of BIOS Update, where we bring you up to date with the latest gaming and tech news. A huge welcome to all of our new subscribers, and let's get into this week's episode all about the PC hardware requirements for Ghost of Tsushima, a huge shake-up in the gaming industry, some instability issues with Intel CPUs, plus much more. So let's get into it. Kicking off with the gaming chapter, and our first story is about the upcoming PC launch of Ghost of Tsushima, which has been delayed. I'm just kidding. It's all about the PC hardware requirements which have recently been released, and you're going to need a pretty powerful GPU if you want to max out the graphics settings and PC exclusive features. The large open world can be explored in ultra-wide with an unlocked frame rate boosted by frame generation technologies like DLSS 3, AMD FSR 3 and Intel XeS. To play on medium settings at 1080p, an RTX 2060 or 5600 XT is recommended, while if you want to play at high at 1440p, you need an RTX 3070 or RX 6800. To max things out at 4K on very high settings, you'll need to splash out on an RTX 4080 or RX 7900 XT. Meanwhile, the CPU requirements are a lot more reasonable, and you'll need an i5 1400 or Ryzen 5 5600 paired with just 16GB of memory and 75GB of SSD space to install the game. The graphics do look incredible, and it's great to see another PlayStation game making its way to PC. Ghost of Tsushima is set to release on the 16th of May, and you can pre-order it right now on Steam and the Epic Games Store. Our next gaming story is about Embracer Group, and if you're wondering, who is that? They essentially own a huge chunk of the gaming industry across PC, console, mobile and board games, with over 900 owned or controlled franchises. The huge group is going to be split into 3 separate companies: Asmodee Group, Coffee Stain and Friends, and Middle-earth Enterprises and Friends. Each one will be a publicly listed company and have its own goals and responsibilities separate from the others. Embracer Group said that the move will allow each entity to better focus on their respective core strategies and offer more differentiated and distinct equity stories for existing and new shareholders. Middle-earth Enterprises and Friends is described as a creative powerhouse in AAA game development and publishing that will own Dead Island, Killing Floor, Kingdom Come Deliverance, Tomb Raider, and the Lord of the Rings IPs. Asmodee Group will be all about those tabletop games. This includes Ticket to Ride, Seven Wonders, Azul, Catan, Dobble, and Exploding Kittens. Plus new games based on the Lord of the Rings, Marvel, Game of Thrones, and Star Wars franchises. Coffee Stain and Friends will focus on indie, mid-market, and free-to-play games. That means looking after Deep Rock Galactic, Goat Simulator, Satisfactory, Wreckfest, Teardown, and Valheim. Embracer Group has had a pretty challenging time recently with a huge amount of job losses, studio shutdowns, and the sale of developers, including the Borderlands maker Gearbox and the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic developer Saber Interactive. Let's hope that this big old shake-up means better gaming experiences and new and exciting titles for gamers worldwide. Moving on to the PC hardware chapter, where our first story is something a little bit weird and wonderful. You might have seen that our talented tech team recently revived the spiffing Brit T-Field PC built by LTT. After a feature on the One Show, the video has done incredibly well, and I'd like to welcome all of our new subscribers. This had me thinking though, has anyone else ever filled a water cooling loop with a beverage? I went searching the internet, and here are my 3 favourite beverage cooled PCs. Tea is very British, but in Scotland there might be something even more popular: iron brew. Back in 2015, Scottish tech shop owner John Lawson created the PC named iMac to display at his computer repair shop in Edinburgh. You might notice that the PC is missing memory and a GPU and is therefore more of a case mod, but you have to love the orange aesthetic, and it does use orange coloured coolant, so I like to think that it's still alive and well somewhere in Scotland today. Coca-Cola began sponsoring esports in 2013, and although they don't seem to really have much involvement today, back in 2017 they hired PC builder Main Gear to craft a custom cola-cooled PC. You can tell a lot of work went into the system, from the perfect red branding with an actual bottle reservoir to the custom-made green-tinted glass panel. The show system is actually filled with coolant, but to get the perfect colour, it was dyed with the same colourant Coca-Cola use in their soft drink. And it definitely paid off, because at first it really had me convinced. There's even fizz being added to the loop for extra theatre. If you're disappointed that real Coke wasn't used, then check out this disaster from Mr. Yeaster, which uses the real thing and actually cools surprisingly well before it eventually succumbs to a sticky, acidic death. Our final PC is from 2021, when Bud Light Mexico decided to give away a Bud Light themed PC built in a Fantex case with i9-9900K, Gigabyte motherboard and RTX 3090. The powerful water-cooled system is of course blue with coloured coolant and filled with Bud Light branding and even a couple of cans. If you're wondering if beer can actually cool a PC, Jay's 2 cents tested the theory, and it actually works surprisingly well despite the foaming mess it made of the reservoir. The CPU stayed cool for the short time the test bench was running, and it was just a fun experiment. What fluid would you like to see in a water cooling loop next? Our next hardware story this week is all about Intel, or more specifically, their recently launched 13th and 14th gen CPUs. Some gamers with these processors have been reporting instability in certain games. Intel is aware of the issue and made the following statement. Intel is aware of reports regarding Intel Core 13th and 14th gen unlocked desktop processors experiencing issues with certain workloads. We're engaged with our partners and are conducting analysis of the reported issues. To help fix the issue, motherboard vendors such as Asus have recently begun offering a new Intel chipset BIOS that lets the user choose Intel baseline settings, which provide basic functionality, lower power limits, and improved stability. This is instead of the vendor's own default settings, which often prioritize higher clock speeds and boost performance. This new BIOS has now been tested by German media site Hardware Lux, who concluded that it does lower the performance by around 8% in some workloads, including games. Thankfully, you're unlikely to notice much difference, particularly if you're playing at a higher resolution with a decent GPU. Personally, I'll prioritize preventing blue screens over a teeny bit of performance anyway, and I'm going to be looking out for an updated BIOS for my particular Intel-powered work PC. It seems like some motherboard vendors might have pushed things a little bit too far with this generation, and if you're experiencing issues, I'll drop a link to a Reddit thread in the description below that details the BIOS settings to use if you happen to experience any instability. Moving on to the blog chapter, where I highlight 2 stories from our written content team. And first up is news for Fortnite fans. The recent Fortnite leak is filled with teasers for upcoming game content, and here's everything you can expect to see in Fortnite over the next year. Season 3 hints at an apocalyptic themed update with Metallica and Pirates of the Caribbean skins coming to the game. Season 4 is going to be all about the Fantastic Four, with some of the biggest Marvel characters making their way into the game. Season 5 sees the return of the original Fortnite map, weaponry, traps, gadgets, and vehicles, which I'm sure is going to be very popular. Additionally, you can tune in to several artists who will be featured in-game festivals this year, such as Billie Eilish, Metallica, Karol G, and Snoop Dogg. The first leak is expected to surface this May, with LEGO Fortnite receiving a Star Wars update in time for the May the 4th festivities. Obviously, everything is unconfirmed right now, but it seems there is plenty to look forward to this year if you're a Fortnite fan. I don't know about you, but I am still thinking about how epic the Fallout TV series was. If you now feel the itch to play Fallout, you'll be pleased to know as of April 25th, you can enjoy Fallout 4 with support for next-gen hardware. This includes ultra widescreen support, stability improvements, mods and bug fixes, as well as a whole bunch of new content and quest updates, such as a new story quest about the Enclave, a makeshift weapon pack, and a selection of skins and collectibles that were once paid content. It will even be Steam Deck verified for Fallout on the go. With an expansive map and thousands of items to collect, upgrade and build, there is plenty to do in Fallout 4. And if you want to make the most of it, make sure your PC is up to the task by reading the Overclockers blog post for the best PCs to play. The game is now 10 years old, so the hardware needed is pretty modest, but it's a pretty good excuse to upgrade if you're looking to max things out and get immersed in the post-apocalyptic world. And who knows, there might be a new Fallout game coming sometime in the next few years anyway. Thanks for watching this week's episode of BIOS Update. Do let me know in the comments below if you'll be enjoying some Fallout games soon. And remember to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and I'll catch you again in the next one.